Okay, so welcome to Parenthood Prep's Sexy Self-Care. I'm Morgan, and I have Renee here with me, and Renee is going to introduce our guest.
Yeah, so hi. I want to introduce someone who is slightly amazing. She works at an agency where she was really just devoting her time teaching mindfulness and teaching, trauma-informed breathing. She also has a private practice, and she does yoga. She's working on a handstand, and I've really just got like a chance to get to know her, and I think that you'll be really energized hearing what she has to say about sexy self-care. So I want to introduce Des. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me, so I kind of been starting all of them out by what does sexy self-care mean to you?
Well, I think when I think about self-care as a caregiver, and so this applies to any caregiver, a healthcare provider or parent, or just caring for anything, a pet, a loved one of any kind, I think the most important thing and what's missed and gets really exhausting for a caregiver is when they're not taking care of themselves. And self-care for me is just that, taking care of yourself so that you can be more available and provide more to the loved one that you're sharing your time with. So for me, that's always been connecting to the breath, using mindfulness, meditation, yoga, kind of getting out of your head a little bit and just being present so that you can be more fully present for the time that's maybe stressful as a caregiver.
Mm-hmm, perfect. So, okay, Morgan and I have like this yin and yang with mindfulness and yoga. And so I'm like gung-ho and all for it. And she's like, I don't know. So what for the other caregivers who are, maybe on one side or the other, like what are some like really simple tips to help connect?
You mean to the present moment?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always start with breathing. Because I think that we get really, really lost in our heads with all the thoughts and the planning and tasks, and I have to do this, and oh my gosh, what about that? Or did I do this right? Or if we're thinking about the past or, thinking about the future, that's usually where we kind of live our lives, in the past or the future, and not really here in this moment. And a lot of wonderful things about the present moment can be lost. And also, I think when we're living in the present moment and connecting to our breath and to what's actually happening right now, then we can't really be available to what's going to happen in the future. Because when the future arrives and it's here, then we're worried about what's the next thing that I'm going to do. And so you're never really being present in any one thing. So I always say, start with the breath, connect with the breath, just meaning like recognizing what's going on with my breathing, and not trying to change anything about it, but what's happening there. Noticing the quality of it, the texture of it, how it feels in your body. And then maybe you can play with taking a deeper breath or longer breaths and see how it changes for you in your body. And then also some people like to just be grounded and be more mindful of their body in space. So noticing like, what do your feet feel like on the floor? What does it feel like to be sitting? Is there any pain in your body that you're noticing, or just those basic things to bring you to the present moment, and then you can be more focused in that moment.
So what's like the danger of not being in the present moment? So you're talking a lot like we live in the future, the past. So what's the danger with that?
Well, like I said before, I think when we're not in the present moment, we're never fully really appreciative, I guess. I think I find like if I'm always worrying about what's going to happen next or what already happened in the past, and I'm probably stressed about either one of those things, depending on the situation, then I'm not really connecting with all the wonderful things that I have right now. So I think that's a danger. And I also think, especially for me personally, getting lost in the thoughts. Just these like repetitive, constant thoughts like I'm not good enough, or these doubts that we might have that prevent us from doing the things that we would like to do or being the kind of person that we'd like to be. I think that's
so it just kind of sparked when you said about like appreciating. So like we work with a lot of parents. So, you know, if they're so worried about the past or the future, I imagine that they're going to not really appreciate their kids. And then the negative behaviors that they're experiencing are going to just be impacted. They're going to be so much bigger when they're not connecting with their breath. Right. Do you think?
Yeah, I think for parents, it's a stressful situation when you're caring for anyone, but especially a small child, and especially during the times when it's not so much fun and you're trying to maybe get kids off to school or, you know, taking care of a lot of different things. You're multitasking. You have work, you have your own personal life and your relationships, and then you have the relationship with your children, which is also incredibly important. And I think that a lot can get lost in maybe like the perception of being a parent or how we think that other people perceive us, and not being fully present to just being there with your kids, and being available to them when you are fully present. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point to bring up too, that, you know, I think a lot of parents really focus on like what other people or what other parents will think of what they're doing. And they kind of get stuck in that and not, you know, really thinking about like what they want for their families or what they want for their kids, and kind of get stuck in that kind of like negative self-talk where you're kind of paralyzed in it.
Yeah. And I think we also, especially kind of the current state of society and culture right now is like, you know, we hear a lot about like the helicopter parent, and they're kind of in everything with their kids, and they're making them, you know, or not necessarily making them, but the kids are super involved in a whole bunch of extracurricular activities. So after school, they got soccer and gymnastics and dance and all these things, which are great. But sometimes it can be a lot. And also it's about this, I think a lot of times it can get lost, like, well, why am I going to gymnastics for the kid? Like, is this something that I really want to do? Do I want to be spending this much time with this? Or do I just want to, you know, sit and have a meal with my family for an hour and watch a movie, or, you know, or something, just being, rather than kind of doing all these things that we would like our kids to be good at, or to excel. I think there's like you know, that the culture has shifted to, you know, let's do this, let's do that, so that we can be the best at everything. And that can be very, very stressful and a lot of pressure for these kids.
Right. I was just kind of thinking as you were saying that, like like, why do we do that? And then I think probably like we have the fear of missing out. Like we want to provide the best and whatever for our kids, but then you're right, we forget to just kind of be, to exist.
Yeah.
I'm
cutting out.
Can you hear again? So
can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So do you have any other kind of, you know, tips for that kind of, you know, the sexy self-care aspect, like things you can do?
Yeah. Well, I think that I always say when I'm teaching mindfulness to my clients who are especially struggling with like anxiety or high stress, I always say you can't teach someone to swim when they're drowning. So you have to have like a constant practice. That's what mindfulness is. There's never oh, if you complete this much meditating on your pillow or whatever, for this amount of time or for this amount of years, then you're done and you never have to do it again. And you've success, you know, it's not like that. It's
you know? You graduated.
Just mindful forever. So
that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I would buy that product.
And then you're done and you don't have to do it anymore. No. So the practice is just showing up and being present as much as you can be, whether you're brushing your teeth or you're actually sitting on a pillow and meditating with your eyes closed. All of it's mindfulness. And how can you bring that, how can you be present for your life, for all the little things, the mundane things, the stressful things too, and And so I like to really, really stress the importance of practicing it, especially if you're going to be teaching it to someone else, or your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else seeing you practice mindfulness in your day-to-day, again, with the regular things like brushing your teeth and driving and the regular things that we all have to do throughout the day, but also sitting on a couch and meditating or connecting in some way, is what helps the kids and the people that we're taking care of to really also connect and understand the importance of that. So I always start there, just be present in your day-to-day, practice every day, even when it's hard and even when you don't want to, just bringing a quality of awareness to everything that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the best start, because the thing is that when you get, when you are super stressed, or it is really difficult, or you're experiencing a difficult emotion that's you probably don't want to be experiencing, that's usually the last time that you want to practice mindfulness. But I think those are the times that it can be the most beneficial, is especially when you have this strong practice or maybe a ritual that you do. I was spending some time with some ladies this weekend, and they put lavender oil in their hand, and they just smell it and close their eyes and connect to their breath for a couple minutes, just to kind of be present in whatever it is. Oh, sorry guys.
Oh, I thought it was me. Well,
Yeah, I know.
So I love what you said. You can't teach someone how to swim when they're drowning. I'm definitely going to quote that. Beautiful.
Earlier, but so someone else.
It's yours. It's yours for now. Sorry. But I think that's so true. And then what you said also, like when you're in that stressful state, like that's the real test. Like that's really when it matters. Like that's when the mindfulness is going to help you.
Right. Yeah. It's so hard. I mean, even for me, I've been practicing mindfulness for years, and those times when I'm really angry or I'm really sad, the last thing I want to do is, connect with my breath and connect to the actual feeling of anger or sadness or whatever's going on. But those are the times that I need it most. And for some people, another idea is that for some people it's difficult to connect with their breath. That's where yoga comes in for me. Sometimes connecting with my breath just doesn't work, and because sometimes it can kind of feel more stressful when you're working with the breath. It can kind of be arousing or energetic in a way that may not be helpful, especially if you have high anxiety. So for me, in those times, the best thing is to do a movement. And that could be you go to a yoga class, or it could be getting on the treadmill at the gym and going for a run, or just connecting to your body in another way, so that you're able to get out of your head a little bit, and that you're not with the thoughts so much that are stressing you out or causing anxiety, but instead you're doing something with your body and being in that moment and kind of getting in the flow of movement.
And you're kind of changing your breath a little bit too, so that's like just a difference you can notice, like, oh, there that is.
Yeah.
Cool. So Des, I'm just kind of curious, it's nothing to do with what we're talking about, but like just about you, as a person, what are your passions? What do you love besides therapy? Like obviously you love therapy and mindfulness. Like what else we need to know about you?
I consider myself a creative person. So it's really important for me just in my personal life to be making things. I think maybe in another life I would have been like an event planner or something. I like to like throw parties and, do like a lot of DIY kind of things. Done a lot of like friends parties and things like that. I really enjoy that. I've also been knitting and crocheting since I was like a teenager. So I really just like to make things with my hands, I guess, and create something new. It's really important.
Beautiful. When I seen your website, I actually emailed you and I said, "Are you an art therapist?"
Yeah.
I was like, she's totally an art therapist.
Yeah, I considered it. I do art with my clients, especially the kids. I think it's just a great way to connect and to again be to have that flow, and to kind of bring you out of your head so much, and just be present in the world. And when you create something, I think it also can be very rewarding, because it can make you have a lot of self-esteem. Like, I made this, look at what I can do, build confidence. So I think especially with kids, it's very important.
Yeah. And it's also just very mindful.
Yeah, it is.
The process.
It brings you to the present moment. Just, putting something on a piece of paper, or even, cutting and gluing something out, or coloring in a coloring book, is very mindful.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So I want to talk a little bit about your practice. You are in LA.
I'm in LA. My practice is technically the address is Los Angeles, but I'm right in near Beverly Hills and on the west side of LA. So I have a private practice part-time, and I see clients, and I use mindfulness and yogic movement in my practice. I prefer to work with children, although I do work with adults, mostly young adults, not so much older adults.
Okay.
And I specialize in trauma. So using mindfulness and breathing and yoga as a way to address trauma and anxiety and stress that comes with that is really important for me.
Beautiful. That sounds like I want to come and be your client. So if I was going to be your client, I was really interested in working with you. Do I have to live in LA? Like, what are other ways that I can connect with you?
Yeah, I do connect with clients through Skype. Not children, only adults, would be through Skype. And it would really just be about having a conversation with a person about what they're bringing to therapy, what they like to get out of therapy, to just make sure that it's a safe space to use Skype in that way. But that's definitely a possibility to, video therapy, teletherapy, and in person.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Morgan, what else do we got?
And I was wondering, do you have a website? Do you want to, and so we can put the links, we'll put the links to your website and everything when we upload all this, so everybody will be able to contact you and get to know you too.
Yeah. Great.
Cool. So Des, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been awesome getting to know you. Just looking at your tips really quick. So you said self-love, connect with your breath, and mindfulness in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Sounds very sexy.